Hi, my name's Corey, and today we're going to be talking about equity. We're going to be talking about it as it relates to real estate, and more specifically as it relates to commercial real estate. We're going to talk about high level, what it means, what is it. I'll give you a little calculation that you can use to determine how much equity you have on your property. And then we'll get into the things I really like about equity, meaning how you can manipulate the equity in your properties. So to start off, let's talk about what equity actually is. Now, equity is essentially the difference between what your property is worth and the liabilities on the property. Defining that another way, it's essentially what someone would be willing to pay for your property on the market if it was for sale and what you owe on that property. Typically, when we're talking about what you owe, that's the mortgage on the property. You could have private loans on that property, and that would be included in those liabilities for that property. Now let's talk about what that calculation was that I said I was going to give to you. The calculation is equity equals total asset value, okay? And we can talk about how to calculate the asset value later on in another video, but today we'll just say, hey, the actual asset value minus the total liabilities, which I said is primarily that mortgage. Okay, so that's that equation. Equity equals total asset value minus the total liabilities. Next, why is equity so important? Why am I even talking about it today? Well, I'm talking about it today because arguably equity in real estate is the largest contributor to individuals' wealth, period. Individuals with more equity in real estate tend to have vastly more wealth than other individuals. And even individuals who have businesses, you'll find that they often have lots of equity in real estate. Increasing your wealth is important to you, then you need to understand equity and how it affects that wealth. And then lastly, let's talk about why I love equity. The primary reason is because you can help to increase the equity on your properties by doing multiple things. First thing you can do is you can renovate your property. Now for commercial properties, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio, and it's not like in single family homes wherein you renovate that house and you are going to automatically increase the value of that property. But it's part of the process. So with a commercial property, part of the process of increasing the value of the property is renovating it. And essentially what happens is that you renovate the property, and then individuals, either current tenants or future tenants, are often willing to pay more for rent. And that is going to eventually lead to that property increasing in value because you're increasing your revenue, increasing your rents, and overall that's going to help you to increase the value of that property. And another thing that I love about equity is that when the tenants pay you every month, they're paying down your mortgage. And what is that doing? That's increasing your amount of equity every single month. So that's powerful. It's the same thing that happens when you have a single family home, but it's, in my opinion, even more powerful because it's affecting your asset. The third thing is market appreciation. Now, market appreciation is essentially a bonus. You don't want to calculate that necessarily in as a huge driver on the value of your property. If you do, I call that speculation, and I don't get into speculation. I get into investing, and investing essentially for me is looking at the numbers and focusing on things that you can affect, because you really can't affect if we're going to have a recession, if the asset that you have is going to be valued by other investors in the future. All you can do is make sure that you take care of the property that you have and hope that you get appreciation along the way. And lastly, you can increase your rent or decrease your expenses. So if you increase your rents, again, that's not going to 100% increase the value of your property, but it basically does. So, the more rent that a property generates, those properties are valued higher, because that's how commercial properties are looked at. For single family homes, typically you're going to look at comps, meaning you're going to look at comparable homes to determine what the value of that property is. But for a commercial property, you're going to look specifically at what revenue is driving this property. How much revenue is it bringing in? What are the expenses? Can we cut those expenses? And then secondarily, we do look at what properties are in the market that have similar statistics, similar units, similar rents, and you can check and see how much those properties sell for. And those can be used as more of a guide to determine, is this property selling at a reasonable price? But generally speaking, we don't use that to determine the actual value of a property. I just want to thank you for watching this video. And if you liked it, please like, subscribe, and share it today. Thanks so much. See you next time.